Yes, it's still Caleb Calhoun doing the Vol report in place of Dave Hooker. We got Cooper Mays on with us. Dave, as I've said, has taken a great vacation to the beach. But Cooper, I've been keeping tabs and asking everybody on the show, how red do you think Dave's going to get when he gets back?
Man, big lobster guy, I'm sure. He's a he's a pasty kind of guy in general, so I'd assume he doesn't tan very well. So probably big burn.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I'm mostly Irish, and I feel like I tan better than he does.
Dude, I don't even know what I am. I'm probably just a conglomeration of everything in Europe, but I don't even tan well, and I'm probably a little bit more ready to tan than he is, I'd say.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So I wanted to dive in for today's report. The Directors' Cup standings came out. You guys finished, the Tennessee Vols athletic department finished 6th overall in performance, second in the SEC behind Florida. Obviously, you guys had a huge part of that, going 11-2, finishing in the top 10 last year. How much pride do you guys take, though, for the whole athletic department and what went on this past year?
Well, I think we take a big amount of pride in it personally, and as a whole university. I think we take a lot of pride in all of our athletics. I think that probably us more than a lot of places in the country, we have a very well-rounded program. If you take into account all sports, I mean, it seems like there's graphics that come out left and right that say like we're the only team in the country that's had so many teams in such a good standing and whatever. So I think we take a lot of pride in it. I enjoy watching all the other sports here, and I think it's a big role that they play in our university.
Yeah, you guys were, since the start of the BCS era in 1998, y'all are the only school to have both basketball teams reach the Sweet 16, both baseball teams reach the College World Series, and win a BCS/New Year's Six bowl game. So pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, dude, that's big time for sure. Definitely, not a lot of teams can say that. That they have a lot of teams doing so well. I'm really proud. I enjoy watching it. It's pretty special stuff.
Yeah, did you? I'm guessing you watched a lot of the College World Series last week.
I actually did. Yeah, I watched it even when we got eliminated, but I watched all of our games. I'm a big fan. Over the last few years since I've been in college, we've gotten really good. So they've made it fun to watch baseball again. I know a lot of the guys on their team through different stuff like class and stuff like that, and just being around the facilities and stuff. But they've really turned around. They make baseball fun to watch. So I wasn't really a big fan of baseball. I don't know about you. You might be a big baseball guy, but like it's a little bit slow for my liking when watching it on the TV. So for me to sit down and watch a whole baseball game, which I've done countless times over the last few years with Tennessee, they're really entertaining to watch. They do it the right way.
So it's funny you say that. Baseball was actually my first love growing up in the 90s, but kind of fell out of favor with me too. Kind of fell out of favor with the decline of my favorite player, who was Ken Griffey Jr. during that time. And that's when I became more of a football fan. So it's interesting you say that. You guys, so I wanted to transition a little bit with the Joe Milton. He showed off his arm. I feel like once a week we get like a highlight reel of a Joe Milton throw that like no human should be able to make. And he did the same thing last week at the Manning Passing Academy. And, it's funny because speaking from a technical standpoint, I know Josh Heupel's system is a lot different from anything Peyton Manning played in college or pro, and Joe Milton's style is a little different. So given those factors, what are certain things Joe Milton specifically could learn from the Manning camp and Peyton Manning specifically?
Well, I'm not probably very refined on the technique and details of quarterback play, but I know that Peyton's one of the best that's ever played the game of football, and definitely him and Tom Brady are probably the two best quarterbacks to ever play so far. So I'm sure there's a ton of stuff that he can learn. Again, I don't really probably know the names of everything and whatever, but anytime you get around somebody like that, that's such a generational type player that takes the game so seriously, and Peyton's obviously his mind and his discipline to his craft has been a huge thing that probably took him as far as he was. So I'm sure there's so much stuff that he can pour into Joe, and if Joe's receptive to it, he can learn a lot.
From your end as an offensive lineman, is it I guess to kind of take it to your perspective, are I know you're a specific type of lineman. You're a center, under 300 pounds. But like, if you're returning from an NFL Hall of Famer who is, kind of an outside blocker at 330, are there still techniques you can take from them if you're at one of their camps or something like that?
Yeah, most definitely. It won't be as applicable probably for me, but I mean, like I tell Dave all the time, at the end of the day, there's only so many ways you can play football. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody acts like, there's so much different stuff going on, but like at the end of the day, it's still the game of football. So, I mean, stuff is going to be able to cross over position groups and be able to be applicable for everybody. But I definitely can learn a lot. I'm going to go down to in the first little bit of July. I'm going down to something called the O-line Masterminds with Duke Manyweather. So he does a little summit with all, a lot of O linemen that are in the NFL, a lot of the good guys in college, and kind of stuff like that. And they kind of come up together and talk about technique and all this other stuff. So we're about to see. I'll see how much it's applicable.
Speaking with your position, obviously playing in Josh Heupel's offense and Joe Milton's chain, is obviously a different. I mean, not. I don't want to say like an opposite type of quarterback, but obviously there are some differences in how Joe Milton plays versus how Hendon Hooker plays. Could you talk a little bit about, those of us covering Tennessee have not seen yet Josh Heupel adapt his offense to new personnel, which he's going to have to do this year with a new quarterback. How dramatic does that seem? Has that been to you? And is it a smooth transition?
I think it's been a smooth transition. Like you said, they are different players, so some stuff is going to feel different and everything. I think Joe, I think Hendon was more ready to run. I think he probably used his legs a little bit more, but Joe can obviously his arm power and everything is unmatched, by anybody. So he obviously can throw the deep ball, probably as far as you want to go, as far as the wide receiver can run. So that's a whole difference maker that you can have in our offense. But I'm not really sure how much it'll change. I mean, at the end of the day, we're still running the same system, and while they are different quarterbacks, it's not like we're going from Peyton Manning to Hendon or Hendon to Peyton Manning. Like we're like him and Joe, while they are different, they're not. It's not like they're two worlds apart. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So you think a lot of the things of what y'all do schematically are going to be pretty similar to last year.
Yeah, I would think so. I'm obviously I'm limited. I'm not the OC or anything, but I wouldn't think we would change a crazy amount. Obviously, there's stuff that's different that I wouldn't know about, but I wouldn't think we would, try to flip the whole scheme up.
So, as I'm sure you saw last week, you guys picked up, Tennessee picked up a pretty big commitment in Max Anderson on the offensive line out of Texas. Obviously, I think you're in your last year of eligibility, right? Or second to last year, technically, with the COVID ruling. I'm so confused with it.
Yeah,
but yeah, so you may or may not be a teammate of his, but I looked at his size and he's listed at 6'5", 309, and named an interior offensive lineman specifically. Now, with Josh Heupel's system, obviously there's a lot of tempo, but it doesn't seem like everybody has to be, I guess, trimmed down in the offense the way you would think for a tempo-based offense. I mean, Javonte Spraggins isn't he in the 320s, 330s, right around that area? And
yeah,
there was Darnell.
Yeah, Darnell's like 340 as well, 335.
Yeah, exactly. So is there is y'all's system blocking for Josh Heupel? Are there many? Is there a size almost requirement, or is it pretty flexible as long as you can block?
It's more. I'd say it's. Well, yeah, if you can block, obviously that's obviously step one. Yeah, but I'd say more importantly, they want you in a size range. Yeah, like they want you in your design size range, but it's not like a broad paintbrush where you have to be X amount of pounds, whatever. But definitely more conditioning, I would say. Like you don't have to be skinny, but if you're going to be bigger, you better be able to keep up. You know what I'm saying? We aren't going to sacrifice our timing and our tempo just because somebody wants to be a little bit overweight. You know what I'm saying? So as long as they can keep up and as long as you can get ready and play the next play with good effort, like they're probably not as much sticklers on your weight.
Is that one of the tricky things with conditioning for offensive linemen specifically? When you get to college, a lot of times they want different players to put on pounds, but you want to try to keep your quick feet, right, and your leverage and your agility when you do that.
Yeah, well, you got to find where you're at as a player, where your sweet spot is, because if you're 290 and you got fast feet but you can't move anybody, then it doesn't matter. But if you're 320 and you got slow feet and you can't keep up, then it doesn't matter as well. So you probably need to be somewhere around that 305, 315 range, so 310 around there, and then you can probably have the best of both worlds. So you got to find your happy medium wherever that is for you, and then you got to rock with that.
Yeah, if I recall, somebody named Cooper Mays was listed right around the 300 or under that mark last year and still managed to lay a pretty good block on Des Watson against Florida.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, that's a big boy for sure.
I kind of learned from you right there. It seems like for particularly what you do, leverage is the most important, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're going to be small, I'm lucky. A lot of people probably think being short is not good, but for me, where I'm sitting right around 300, 305 right now, 310 in that range, if you can be 6'2" and a half, you're going to have natural leverage on everybody, if that makes sense. So I can get up under people and lift them up. And when you get a D lineman lifted up, that's when you can move them because you're getting them uprooted out of their anchor. So I wrestled when I was younger and I watched a lot of UFC and stuff like that. So I understand hand and like grappling and like leverage and all that. So it makes it easy for me, but not a lot of people can play at a lower weight like that.
Yeah, it's and particularly with you guys, one of the things unique to me about Hypel system is you hear all the time that when with these tempo and spread offenses going on now that linemen aren't being taught as what things I've heard is linemen aren't being taught as or prepared as much as they should for the NFL. But it seems like you guys are pretty much taught similar blocking concepts as a pro style offense, right? Y'all still have to block for the interior running game that y'all use so much.
Yeah, we I mean there's little nuances that probably are a little bit different than the NFL game, but at the end of the day, like we're still blocking people, we're getting the job done, we're running inside zone, outside zone. Like we're playing football. You know what I'm saying? Everybody tries to make it sound like, especially like last year when you look at the guys going through the draft, like talking about Jalen's route running or talking about Hendon's not being able to make decisions at the NFL level or anything. Like I don't really get it. I mean, just because Hendon can get the ball out fast and Jalen can run by everybody, that's a bad thing. Like I thought it would be a good thing. So I don't know. We'll see. I think I have a lot of belief in guys that have moved on and the guys that are here that will be prepared.
It's funny you said it kind of reminds me of when Hendon Hooker was at his draft interview and he said, it's not my fault nobody can cover my receivers.
Right. Like I mean, like what is he supposed to do? Just not throw it because y'all don't want him to throw the ball as fast? Like I don't really I mean, everybody's always got something to complain about, I guess. So it makes sense. I don't know. We'll see.
Yep. The Vol Report with Cooper Mays is brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. 50 years of experience in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. You may not need a whole new unit. You can trust City Heating and Air Conditioning for all of your HVAC needs in the Knoxville area. So transitioning a little bit, Cooper, talking about this year, I spoke with Jacob about this and want to know your thoughts if you embrace this pressure. So a couple of national reporters recently, we've been tracking things that people have said over whether or not y'all are back, what you have to do to be back. And one guy at On3 says that to prove last year was a trend and not a flash in the pan, y'all have to beat Alabama or Georgia this year. Now, I think y'all are back anyway, but do you embrace that type of pressure to be told that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I probably won't really read into much of that stuff. But I mean, going into the season, regardless of what Buddy at On3 said or not, those are games that we want to win. Those are games that we expect to win, and that's the teams that we got to beat to be where we want to be in the season and winning championships. So yeah, I mean he's right. That's who we need to beat. But I don't know if that's qualifying terms for if we're good or not.
Right. Yeah, that's the way I felt about it too. But I figured that's why I wasn't going to ask you about whether or not that was accurate because I thought that'd be an unfair question to you guys. But yeah, I just wanted to know if you kind of embrace the pressure and also, yeah, what's really standing out to me is that I think one of the biggest signs that y'all truly are where you, I don't want to say want to be as a program, but where your mentality is like y'all aren't expecting any. Some people have called this a transition year. I don't think y'all are accepting that at all, are y'all?
No, I don't think we've used that term once in our preparation this year. I think we have a really good squad. I think we're going to show a lot of people. I don't know. I didn't really know we were getting doubted like that, but I guess we're going to show a lot of people what we're about.
Yeah, the over under for Vegas has been set at I think 9.5, and but one of the intriguing things to me about y'all's schedule this year is, and I talked to Jacob about it, is the group of 5 teams y'all play you'll probably have the best group of 5 slate of any team in college football, because y'all play 2 teams, UConn, a program on the rise that's probably going to go even be better this year. They were bowl eligible last year. And Texas San Antonio is probably the best non-power. They might be the New Year's Six team with Group of 5 football this year. Can you learn some things from playing your Group of 5 team that's that good?
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can learn some stuff. It's really just we have one of the hardest schedules in the country every year. We do it to ourselves. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I don't know. I don't really know what to say. You can definitely learn some stuff, but man, I don't know.
It's crazy. I mean, but that's got to be kind of exciting. In the sense of, I know, you're going to play Texas San Antonio this year, and they might end up they legit might end up 10-2, 11-1, whatever. And I mean, they could end up being a very, very good team. And do you ever play a game on your schedule where, and I know every game, that's the most important game that week, but do you ever play a game on your schedule where you weren't prepared? I don't want to say not prepared. You didn't know how good that team was. Then you go back and look at the end of the year, and you're like, wow. So Fred White always tells us their opener against Syracuse in the 98 national title game, it's not that they didn't prepare. It was a dogfight, and then they went back and looked at the end of the year like, wow, we beat the Big East champs. Has that ever happened with you guys, where you were surprised at the end of the year about how good they turned out to be?
Probably for me last year, LSU, we went down there and had no trouble with them at all. And then they ended up somehow being ranked above us, I think, or something like that. So I don't really know. I don't really know how that worked out or anything, but they ended up being ranked right neck and neck with us. And we went down there, beat them by 30 or 40 at home. So for them to be a top, they were in the SEC. Were they in the SEC championship or something?
Yeah, they played Georgia for the SEC title.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty nuts that you can beat somebody by 40 and they end up playing for more than you and being ranked right there with you. So that was pretty crazy to me last year, but they ended up being a really, really good team at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's funny, the SEC is doing away with divisions next year, and had they not had it last year, you guys would have been the ones in Atlanta, not LSU or even Alabama with the chance to go. Do you like the idea of doing away with divisions, or are you a fan of these yearly rivalries that you guys have?
Man, I'm not really sure. I don't really get caught too much up into that, but I think if you lose out on a lot of your rivals, it's not good for the schools. But I mean, it seems like we got a crap ton of teams coming into SEC and everything, and I don't know if there will be more or anything, but it seems pretty wild that there's so many teams in there. You probably have to do away with divisions because there's so many. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know how that would play into it, but you might as well just make it all one conference and just do away with divisions and keep it. I guess just a all-in-one type pool.
Yeah. Do you So you mentioned it a little bit, and I asked Jacob about it. Do you take it personal at all when, to quote Michael Jordan from The Last Dance, that you guys did beat the brakes off of LSU last year? You beat Alabama, and so many. I don't think all of them, but so many of preseason prognostications are having both teams ahead of you guys, which just seems totally unfair and totally forgetting about what you guys did to them last year.
Yeah, no, I mean, even kind of going what I was saying earlier, because even at the end of the year they were ranked above us last year. That made no sense to me personally, because I mean, I don't know how you beat 2 teams and then in the same year they're considered better than you. I mean, maybe if you beat those 2 teams and you lost every single other game or something like that, but I mean, our record, we dropped a game to South Carolina that we shouldn't have lost. But other than that, I mean, there wasn't really many chinks in your armor. I mean, if you go down to Georgia at home and lose by a touchdown, I mean, it's about as respectable of a loss you can take, with it still being a loss. So I don't really know how we got disrespected so far at the end of the year, but I think we went out versus Clemson and we showed a lot about who we were about and what we're about. So I think we finished the year the right way.
Yeah, and it seems, it's funny with Clemson. Some people say there have been people in the past that have, there's been doubters about bowl games and things like that. But does a bowl win like that? Does that have an impact on the momentum you need going into the all season? Does that help morale a lot?
I think so. I think it was a really good week, down there, and it was really good to pull out the W and go back home. It makes the off season a lot better. Going home in a loss is not ever good. And then also, moreover, for Joe, I think Joe going out there and having a really good performance, it stunk because I don't know if y'all really remember, but Vanderbilt last year was a big rain game. I mean, it was pouring all game. So I mean, that doesn't help your confidence at all as a quarterback. But when you go out there in good conditions and play the way he did, I think it's really big for your confidence as a leader and a quarterback.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. It's funny because I remember the Vanderbilt game, and I credit to you guys. I was watching the Vol Report during that time, and you guys were both insisting. You guys were like, just wait till the Orange Bowl when Joe Milton shows everybody what he can do in the right conditions. And I mean, man, he proved so many people wrong with that game.
Yeah, it was a big time. He made a really big step and took a really big step forward for that performance. So, hopefully that trend continues and he's feeling good about everything. So, I mean, he's done the right stuff up till now to feel that way.
So how is his? We hear he's a leader. Like, I know you were one of the leaders on the team too. Obviously, you're the leader of the line and one of the leaders of the offense. And we hear he's a leader, like Hendon Hooker is as a quarterback, but different. But his leadership style is different. What are some of the things that are a little bit different between Joe and Hendon and how they lead the offense?
I would say, I would say Joe is probably a little bit more like up in your face and vocal. I think Hendon always never had any problem, using his voice and getting on somebody's butt or calling people out. Like he never had a problem with that, obviously. But Hendon was always a little bit more reserved, and he would talk when he needed to. But other than that, Hendon was very soft spoken, and kind of was regressed back towards the, off to the side. I mean, not that he was trying to avoid anything, but he definitely wasn't going to be the guy that was, talking all the time.
And so then, what's your style when you walk into the room with the rest of the line?
I'm probably more like that, more like Hendo. But I'm growing more. I'm. It's been different for me because like I've always been a little brother, like always growing up, I was Cade's little brother, and then kind of when I got to college, he was there too, and then I had Trey Smith and older guys like that were older than me that I always looked up to, and they were kind of the leaders of the room. And now I've kind of had to step into that role and be kind of that big bro or big brother to all those guys in there, or to most of them. And it's been a progress, but I'm really enjoying it. I think it's good. But yeah, definitely I'm more not standoffish, but definitely more soft spoken and don't talk as much.
So you're going down to that O-line camp. What else you got going on in the summer before fall camp starts?
Man, that's probably about it, man. You don't have much time for much. So once I got it, I'm gonna go a couple of days down there to do that, and then probably the rest of that just be with family, working out, and then with my teammates.
Well, thanks a lot for doing this, Cooper. Really appreciate it. This was we both were kind of improving this together, but
Yeah.
Cooper Mays' interview, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Coop, thanks for doing this so much. Really appreciate it, and good luck the rest of the off season. And Dave will be back next week.
No doubt. Appreciate you, man.